The fluorescent lights in the Meridian Tech building hummed at a frequency that gave most people headaches by noon. Claire Ashford had listened to that hum for 12 years, first as a junior developer, then as department head, now as CEO. She knew every sound this building made, every quirk of the electrical system, every shortcut through the labyrinth of hallways. What she didn't know was what happened in those hallways after she left each night. She stood in the executive bathroom at 6:30 on a Monday morning, staring at her reflection. Her usual uniform, tailored blazer, silk blouse, designer heels, hung on the hook behind her. Instead, she wore navy work pants and a matching shirt with Meridian Maintenance embroidered over the pocket. Her dark hair, normally styled in a professional twist, was pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup, no jewelry except the cheap watch she'd bought at a drugstore. "You look insane," she muttered to her reflection, but she'd made up her mind. 3 anonymous complaints in 2 months about harassment and hostile work environment. HR investigated each time, found nothing. The complaints were detailed, specific, credible. Someone was creating a toxic workplace and Claire needed to know who. She couldn't investigate as CEO. People performed differently when the boss was watching, but as a janitor, she'd be invisible. People would talk freely, act naturally, reveal their true selves. Claire tucked her phone into her locker, the CEO's phone anyway. She'd bought a cheap flip phone for this week. No emails, no calendar alerts, no connection to her real identity. Her assistant thought she was on a retreat in Vermont. The board thought she was visiting potential acquisition targets. Nobody knew the truth. She grabbed the cleaning cart from the maintenance closet and pushed it toward the elevators. The wheels squeaked, something she'd never noticed before. How many other things had she never noticed? The 4th floor was already bustling. Developers arrived early, fueled by coffee and the kind of obsessive focus that built tech empires. Claire kept her head down, emptying trash cans, wiping down desks in empty cubicles. "Excuse me," a voice said. Claire looked up. A man stood beside her cart, maybe mid-30s, with the kind face and tired eyes of someone who hadn't slept well in months. He held a coffee cup in one hand and a small backpack covered in dinosaur patches in the other. "I'm sorry to bother you," he said, "but do you know if the break room on this floor has any bandages? My daughter scraped her knee in the parking garage, and I forgot to restock my first aid kit." Claire blinked. In 12 years, exactly 0 people had asked a janitor for help with anything personal. I'm not sure, I can check." "That would be amazing. Thank you." He smiled, and it transformed his whole face. "I'm James, by the way. James Keller. I work in the software architecture group." "Maria," Claire said, using the name on her borrowed uniform. "Nice to meet you." She found bandages in the maintenance supply closet and brought them back. James was crouched beside a girl who couldn't have been more than 6, examining her knee with exaggerated seriousness. "The medical expert has arrived," James announced. "Miss Lily, this is Maria. She's brought the proper equipment for your injury." Lily looked up at Claire with solemn brown eyes. "It hurts a lot." "I bet it does," Claire said, surprised by the gentleness in her own voice. She handed James the bandages. "These should help. You're a lifesaver." James carefully applied the bandage while Lily watched. "There, good as new. What do we say?" "Thank you, Maria," Lily said shyly. "You're very welcome." James stood, hoisting the backpack again. "I should get her to daycare before I'm late to stand up. Thanks again." Claire watched them walk toward the elevators, James's hand gentle on his daughter's shoulder. Lily chattering about something that made him laugh. Something warm and unfamiliar stirred in her chest. She pushed her cart to the next section and nearly collided with 2 men in expensive suits. "Watch it," one snapped without looking at her. Claire recognized him, Derek Chen, VP of Sales. The other was Michael Rodriguez, Head of Marketing. They were deep in conversation, completely oblivious to her presence. "I'm telling you, the new CEO is going to tank this company," Derek said. "She's too soft, too concerned with culture and employee well-being. This is tech, not a daycare." "She inherited the position when Ashford retired," Michael replied. "Nepotism at its finest. I heard she only got promoted because she's his daughter." Claire's jaw tightened. She'd worked 80-hour weeks to prove herself, had built 3 of the company's most profitable products. Her father had retired 5 years ago, long before her promotion. Either way, she's bad for business, Derek continued. My team needs aggressive targets and competition. This touchy-feely approach is killing our edge. They walked away, still complaining. Claire stood frozen, gripping her cleaning cart. She'd known some executives resented her leadership style, but hearing it stated so bluntly stung. She spent the rest of the morning moving through the building like a ghost. People talked around her, through her, occasionally at her when they needed trash removed or a spill cleaned, but nobody saw her. Nobody except James Keller, who passed her in the hallway at noon and actually said hello. "How's your morning going?" he asked. "Fine," Claire managed. "How's Lily's knee?" "She's milking it for all it's worth. Told everyone at daycare she had a catastrophic injury." He grinned. 6-year-olds are dramatic. "Is it just the two of you?" The question slipped out before Claire could stop it. James's smile dimmed slightly. "Yeah. Her mum left when Lily was 2, decided motherhood wasn't for her, so it's been us against the world ever since. That must be hard. Some days more than others, but she's worth it." He shifted his lunch bag. "I should get back. Nice talking to you, Maria." Claire watched him go, thinking about the VPs who'd complained about her leadership. James Keller had more on his plate than most people in this building, yet he'd been the only one to treat her like a person. By Tuesday afternoon, Claire had documented 3 instances of middle managers berating subordinates, 2 cases of credit being stolen for others' work, and 1 executive making inappropriate comments about a junior developer's appearance. She'd also witnessed the absolute mess that was the building's recycling program. Nobody sorted anything, and the janitorial staff had to do it manually. She was in the break room, reorganizing the recycling bins with proper labels when James appeared. "That's smart," he said, pointing at her handwritten signs. "People might actually use them correctly now." "Probably not," Claire said, "but it's worth trying." "Optimist, I like it." He poured coffee, then grabbed a second cup. "You want some? It's terrible, but it's caffeinated." Claire hesitated. CEOs didn't drink breakroom coffee with employees, but janitors probably did. "Sure, thank you." They stood in comfortable silence, both sipping the truly awful coffee. "Can I ask you something?" James said. "And you can totally tell me it's none of my business." "Okay. Why are you working as a janitor? You seem..." He searched for words. "Overqualified, I guess." Claire's heart raced. Had she given herself away somehow? "What makes you say that? The way you reorganize those bins, the way you carry yourself. I don't know. You just seem like someone who's done more complex work than this." "Maybe I have," Claire said carefully. "Maybe I'm taking a break from that world." "Fair enough." James didn't push. "For what it's worth, this building needs more people who care about doing things right, even small things like recycling." "You seem like you care about doing things right." "I try, especially since Lily's watching. Kids notice everything, you know. If I cut corners or treat people badly, or act like some things don't matter, she'll learn that behavior. So I try to be the kind of person I want her to become." Claire thought about her own childhood, watching her father build this company with integrity and vision. He'd retired and handed her the reins, trusting her to maintain his legacy. And now executives were undermining her, creating the exact toxic culture he'd worked to prevent. "That's really admirable," she said quietly. "It's really exhausting," James corrected with a self-deprecating smile. "But yeah, I guess it's important too." Lily burst into the break room, a daycare worker trailing apologetically behind her. "Daddy, Daddy, I made you a picture." She thrust forward a crayon drawing of 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, holding hands under a rainbow. "That's beautiful, sweetie." James took the drawing reverently. "Is this us?" "Yes, and that's our house, and that's the sun, and those are birds." "Perfect. We'll put it on the fridge at home." He looked at the daycare worker. "Everything okay?" "She really wanted to show you. I'm sorry to interrupt." "Don't be. Thanks for bringing her up." James turned to Claire. "Maria, this is my daughter, Lily." "Lily, this is my friend Maria. She helped with your knee yesterday." "I remember." Lily beamed at Claire. Thank you for the bandage. It's purple now. Purple is a good choice, Claire said, charmed despite herself. Daddy says you have to say please and thank you to everyone, even if they're working, because everyone deserves respect. Your daddy is very smart. I know, Lily said matter-of-factly. The daycare worker collected Lily, and James tucked the drawing carefully into his bag. Sorry about that. She's at an age where she has no concept of workplace boundaries. Don't apologize. She's wonderful. She is, isn't she? James's expression softened. Makes all the hard parts worth it. After he left, Claire stood in the empty break room processing the encounter. She'd spent 12 years in this building, climbing the ladder, making strategic decisions, shaping company culture from the top down. But she'd never really seen what happened at ground level, never noticed the single parents juggling work and childcare, the employees trying to do the right thing in small ways, the basic human kindness that existed beneath the corporate machinery. Wednesday brought a crisis. Claire was cleaning the executive floor when she heard shouting from the conference room. She recognized Derek Chen's voice, raised in anger. This is completely unacceptable. Who authorized this change to the sales dashboard? It was necessary, another voice replied, James Keller, calm but strained. The old version was feeding you incorrect conversion metrics. The numbers you were seeing were inflated by nearly 30%. Those numbers are what I show to clients, to investors. They were wrong, James said firmly. I couldn't let it continue. It's a data integrity issue. It's a you overstepping your authority issue. You're a software architect, not a product manager. You don't make these calls. Claire moved closer to the door, pretending to wipe down the water fountain. I'm the one who built the dashboard, James said. And I'm telling you it was broken. I fixed it. That's my job. Your job is to do what you're told, and I'm telling you to revert the changes. I can't do that. It would be unethical. Unethical? You want to talk ethics? You're a single dad who brings his kid to work half the time. You leave at 5:30 every day, no exceptions. You're barely pulling your weight as it is, and now you want to lecture me about ethics. The silence that followed was heavy. My daughter has nothing to do with this, James said quietly, and I complete all my work. I've never missed a deadline. Because you're doing the bare minimum. Meanwhile, the rest of us are here until 8, 9, 10 at night actually building this company. But sure, you go home and play Mr. Mom while we do the real work. Claire's hand tightened on her cleaning spray. She wanted to burst in, fire Derek on the spot, defend James, but she couldn't, not as Maria the janitor. I'll submit the documentation to product management, James said, his voice still controlled. They can review the changes and make the final call, but I won't revert to publishing false data. You do that, and I'll be sure to mention your attitude in your next performance review. Footsteps approached the door. Claire quickly moved down the hall, pushing her cart. James emerged looking pale but composed. He saw her and attempted a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Hey, Maria, are you okay? He seemed surprised by the question. Yeah, just work stuff, nothing I can't handle. That man was awful to you. Derek? He's just stressed. High-pressure environment and all that. James rubbed his face. I should get back to my desk. For what it's worth, Claire said. You were right, about the data, I was. I heard some of it. You did the right thing. Thanks. Doesn't always feel great doing the right thing. No, Claire agreed, it usually doesn't. After he left, she made a note in her phone. Derek Chen, performance review needed, creating hostile environment, retaliating against ethical behavior. But she also made another note. James Keller, values integrity over career advancement, faces discrimination as single parent, maintains professionalism under pressure. Thursday morning, Claire arrived to find the building in chaos. The server room had flooded overnight. A pipe burst and critical systems were down. Developers scrambled to restore backups while facilities tried to contain the water damage. Claire joined the maintenance crew, mopping water, moving equipment, doing whatever needed doing. It was physical work, exhausting in a way her CEO duties never were. But it felt real, tangible. She could see the immediate results of her effort. James appeared around noon, laptop in hand, looking frazzled. They're saying we lost 18 hours of data, he told another developer. But I think I can reconstruct most of it from the distributed backups. It'll take time, but it's possible. How much time? If I work straight through, maybe 15, 20 hours. James, that's overnight. What about Lily? His jaw tightened. I'll figure something out. Claire watched him make phone calls, trying to find someone to watch his daughter overnight. She saw his shoulders slump as each option fell through. His regular sitter was out of town. His sister had a work commitment. The backup daycare didn't do overnight stays. She found herself walking toward him before she'd fully decided what to say. "Excuse me," she said. "I'm sorry. I couldn't help overhearing. I could watch Lily tonight, if you need." James stared at her. "What?" "I have childcare experience," Claire said, which was true. She'd put herself through college babysitting. "And it sounds like you're in a bind. I'd be happy to help." "Maria, that's incredibly kind, but I can't ask you to do that." "You're not asking, I'm offering." "You don't even know us." "I know you helped me feel welcome when I started this job. I know you treat people with respect, and I know you need help." Claire softened her voice. "Let me return the favor." James looked torn. "I'd pay you, of course, whatever your rate is." "We can figure that out later. What time do you need me?" They arranged the details. Claire would pick up Lily from daycare at 6, take her to James's apartment, and stay overnight. James would work through the night at the office and be home by morning. "I can't thank you enough," James said. "Seriously, you're saving my job right now." "You're saving the company's data," Claire replied. "That seems more important." She spent the afternoon finishing her janitor duties while her mind raced. This was crossing a line, getting personally involved. But she couldn't shake the memory of Derek Chen's words, "Barely pulling your weight. Play, Mr. Mom." James was being penalized for having responsibilities outside work, while others who cut ethical corners got promoted. At 6, Claire picked up Lily from the building's daycare center, newly dressed in her own clothes, hair down, looking as un-janitor-like as possible. "Hi, Lily. Remember me? Maria, your dad's friend." "I remember. You gave me the purple bandage." Lily took her hand trustingly. "Daddy says you're having a sleepover with me tonight." "That's right. Is that okay with you?" "Yes, I love sleepovers. Can we make popcorn?" "If your dad says it's okay." James's apartment was small but immaculately maintained. Living room, kitchenette, one bedroom that Lily clearly used, and a converted closet where James apparently slept on a futon. The space was filled with Lily's artwork, educational posters, shelves of books. "Make yourself at home," James said, looking anxious. "There's food in the fridge, anything you need. Lily's bedtime is 8:30, but she'll try to negotiate for 9. She needs to brush her teeth for 2 full minutes. She has a timer, and she likes 3 stories before bed, though she'll ask for 5. "James, we'll be fine. Go save the servers." He kissed Lily's forehead. "Be good for Maria, okay?" "I'm always good," Lily said with the confidence of a 6-year-old who genuinely believed it. After James left, Claire and Lily made dinner, chicken nuggets and carrot sticks, simple but nutritious. Lily chatted about school, her best friend Emma, the lizard they'd seen in the playground. "Do you have kids?" Lily asked while they washed dishes. "No, I don't." "Why not?" Claire smiled at the directness. "I've been very busy with work. I haven't had time." "Daddy says work is important, but people are more important." "Your daddy is right. He says his most important job is being my dad, even though he has other jobs too." Claire felt something tighten in her chest. "He's a very good dad." "I know, I'm lucky." Lily studied her seriously. "Are you lonely? Without kids?" The question caught Claire off guard. Was she lonely? She had a corner office, a 7-figure salary, respect in her industry. She had dinner meetings and conference calls and strategic planning sessions. But did she have this easy warmth, this simple connection? "Sometimes," Claire admitted. "Yes, sometimes I'm lonely." "You can be my friend," Lily offered. "Then you won't be lonely." Claire blinked back unexpected tears. "I'd like that very much." They made popcorn and watched a movie about talking animals. Lily fell asleep against Claire's shoulder halfway through, warm and trusting. Claire sat very still, afraid to move, feeling something crack open inside her chest. She'd spent 12 years building a career, proving herself, climbing higher and higher, but sitting here with a sleeping child in a tiny apartment that radiated love despite its modest size, she wondered what she'd actually been climbing toward. Her phone buzzed. the CEO phone she'd retrieved from her car, an email from Derek Chen sent to the entire executive team. James Keller's unauthorized changes to the sales dashboard have created significant problems with client presentations. Recommend formal disciplinary action and removal from current projects. Claire's jaw clenched. She typed a response. Meeting first thing Friday morning. All executives required to attend. No exceptions. She spent the night on James's couch, dozing fitfully, checking on Lily twice. At 5:30, she heard a key in the lock. James entered quietly, exhausted but triumphant. We got everything back, all the data fully restored. That's wonderful, Claire whispered. Lily's still asleep. Thank you. He sank into a chair. I can't even express how grateful I am. You gave up your whole evening, your night, to help someone you barely know. Maybe I needed it as much as you did. James tilted his head. What do you mean? Claire chose her words carefully. I've been thinking a lot about what matters, about what kind of person I want to be. And I realized I've been so focused on one aspect of my life that I've neglected others. You helped remind me that there's more to life than work achievements. Deep thoughts for 5:30 in the morning. Sleep deprivation makes me philosophical. They shared a tired smile. Claire gathered her things, preparing to leave before Lily woke up and asked complicated questions about why Maria the janitor was still there. Can I take you to breakfast? James asked. To thank you properly? You don't need to. I want to. Please. Tomorrow. After we've both actually slept. There's a good diner near here, best pancakes in the city, according to Lily. Claire knew she should say no, should maintain the separation between her janitor identity and her real life, but she heard herself say, okay, tomorrow. Breakfast. Friday morning, Claire arrived at Meridian Tech at 6 a.m. back in her blazer and heels, CEO armor fully in place. She'd left her janitor uniform in the maintenance closet, with a note thanking them for their cooperation with her workplace experience project. The executive team filed into the conference room at 7, looking confused and concerned. Derek Chen arrived last, his expression guarded. Thank you all for coming, Claire began. I want to discuss company culture, ethical standards, and what it means to lead at Meridian Tech. For the next hour, she laid out everything she'd observed during her week as a janitor. The way employees were invisible unless they were useful, the credit theft, the hostile management, the discrimination against working parents. She didn't mention names, but her eyes lingered on Derek when she discussed retaliation against whistleblowers. This company was built on integrity, Claire said. My father created a culture where doing the right thing mattered more than short-term profits, where employees were valued as human beings, not just resources. And somehow we've lost that. With all due respect, Derek interrupted, this is business. We have shareholders, quarterly targets, competitors breathing down our necks. We can't afford to be soft. There's nothing soft about integrity, Claire said sharply. There's nothing weak about treating people with respect. In fact, I'd argue it takes more strength, more courage, more actual leadership to build a culture based on those values than to simply bully your way through obstacles. She pulled up an email on the conference room screen. Derek's message about James Keller. This engineer spent all night restoring our data when servers failed. He could have gone home, said it wasn't his problem, let someone else deal with it. Instead, he stayed and fixed it. And this is how he's being repaid, with threats of disciplinary action because he corrected a data integrity issue. Derek shifted uncomfortably. That's not the full context. The full context is that he was right. The sales dashboard was showing inflated numbers. Publishing false metrics to clients and investors isn't aggressive sales strategy. It's fraud. And punishing someone for refusing to participate in that fraud is retaliation. The room was silent. The other executives stared at Derek, who'd gone pale. Effective immediately, Claire continued. We're implementing new policies around work-life balance, ethical reporting, and management accountability. We're also conducting a full review of all our metrics and dashboards to ensure data integrity across the company. And Derek, you and I will be having a separate conversation about your future here. After the meeting, Claire retreated to her office, emotionally drained. She'd blown her cover, shown her hand, revealed that she'd been watching, Some would call it entrapment. Others would say she'd violated trust. But she'd also learned something invaluable. The company her father built was still there, still alive in employees like James Keller, who did the right thing even when it cost them. She just needed to clear away the people who were suffocating it. Her assistant knocked. "Miss Ashford, there's a James Keller here to see you. He doesn't have an appointment, but he says it's important." Claire's stomach dropped. "Send him in." James entered, looking nervous and confused. He'd clearly been pulled from his desk. His hair was disheveled, his tie slightly askew. "Mr. Keller," Claire said formally, "please sit down." "I'm sorry to show up without warning," he said, "but I just got word that Derek Chen is being suspended pending investigation, and I think there's been a mistake. I need to explain." He stopped mid-sentence, staring at her, really staring, taking in her face, her hair, the features that were the same even if everything else was different. "Maria," he said slowly. Claire took a breath. "My name isn't Maria. It's Claire Ashford. I'm the CEO." James sat frozen, his expression cycling through confusion, understanding, disbelief, and finally something that looked like betrayal. "You were pretending," he said flatly. "This whole week. The janitor thing was a lie." "It was an undercover investigation. I needed to see what was really happening in this company without people performing for the boss." "And me? Was I part of the investigation? Lily?" His voice rose. "You came to my home. You watched my daughter. You let me trust you, and the whole time you were lying." "I wasn't lying about wanting to help," Claire said. "Everything I said to you as Maria was true. My feelings, my thoughts, my observations, those were real. But Maria wasn't real. She was a character you played, and I fell for it." He stood abruptly. "God, I'm an idiot. The CEO, slumming it with the working class for a week. Did you get what you needed? Good story to tell at cocktail parties?" "James, please, don't." He held up a hand. "Don't explain, don't justify. You made me feel like someone saw me. Like I mattered beyond my productivity metrics. And it was all a manipulation." "It wasn't manipulation. I do see you. You do matter." "As what? An employee? A case study? A reminder that poor people have feelings too?" His laugh was bitter. "Lily really liked you, you know. She asked this morning if you could come to her school play next week. But I guess the CEO doesn't have time for that kind of thing." The words hit like physical blows. "I'm sorry. I know this looks bad, but my intentions were good. I was trying to fix real problems. By lying to everyone? By playing dress-up in the working class? You want to fix problems, Ms. Ashford? Try actually listening to your employees. Try creating channels for honest feedback. Try building a culture where people don't need to be tricked into revealing the truth." He moved toward the door. "Thank you for getting Derek Chen investigated. That needed to happen. But don't pretend we're friends. Don't pretend you know me, because Maria might have, but you don't." He left, and Claire sat in her empty office, surrounded by the trappings of success she'd worked so hard to achieve, feeling more alone than she had in years. The weekend passed in a blur of regret and second-guessing. Claire went through the motions, reviewed reports, answered emails, attended a charity gala where everyone congratulated her on the Chen suspension. But her mind kept returning to James's face, the betrayal in his eyes, the way Lily had fallen asleep trusting her. Monday morning, she found a letter on her desk, handwritten in careful script. "Ms. Ashford. I've been thinking about our conversation, and I owe you an apology. I was hurt and angry, and I said things that weren't entirely fair. Your investigation did expose real problems, and Derek Chen's suspension is justified. I'm grateful for that. But I still believe there were better ways to gather that information, ways that didn't involve deception. And I need you to understand that for people like me, people without power or connections, trust is everything. When that trust is broken, it's not easy to repair. I don't know if we can be friends. I'm not even sure what that would look like, given our different positions. But I want to believe that Maria, the person you were that week, exists somewhere inside the CEO. Because that person, she was someone worth knowing. I hope you find a way to bring her back. Respectfully, James Keller." Claire read the letter 3 times, feeling something shift in her chest. He was right. Maria had been real, maybe more real than the CEO persona she'd perfected over the years. Maria had connected with people, had cared about small acts of kindness, had seen value in moments that had nothing to do with quarterly earnings. She made a decision. Tuesday afternoon, she left the office at 4:30, changed into jeans and a sweater, and drove to the elementary school where Lily attended first grade. She found the auditorium where parents were gathering for the school play. James was there, sitting alone in the third row, holding a bouquet of flowers that looked like they'd come from a grocery store. He saw her and his eyes widened. Claire slid into the seat beside him. "You said she had a play. I thought I'd come, if that's okay." As the CEO checking on employee morale, as someone who cares about Lily and her father. James studied her face. "Why are you really here, Claire?" "Because you were right. I lost myself in the CEO role. I forgot that leadership isn't just about decisions and strategy. It's about people. Real people with real lives and real struggles. And you reminded me of that." She took a breath. Maria was me. The part of me I'd buried under ambition and responsibility and the need to prove myself. And I want to be her again, or at least find a balance. That's a nice speech. It's not a speech, it's the truth. The lights dimmed. On stage, 6-year-olds in cardboard costumes began acting out a story about forest animals. Lily appeared as a rabbit, her lines delivered with theatrical flair that made James beam with pride. Claire felt tears prick her eyes, watching this small person pour her heart into her performance, completely unaware that her father's boss was in the audience, that her world and Claire's had become impossibly tangled. After the play, Lily ran to James, still wearing her rabbit ears. "Daddy, did you see me?" "You were magnificent," James said, scooping her up. "The best rabbit in theatrical history." Lily noticed Claire. "Maria, you came." "I did. You were wonderful." "But you're not wearing your work clothes." Claire and James exchanged glances. "Actually, sweetie," James said carefully, "Maria's real name is Claire, and she has a different job than we thought. She's the boss at my company." Lily processed this with the flexible logic of childhood. "So you're still Maria, but also Claire?" "Something like that." "And you still like us?" The question was so direct, so vulnerable, that Claire had to swallow hard. "Yes, I still like you very much." "Good." Lily hugged her father's neck. "Can Claire come to dinner with us? We're having spaghetti." James looked at Claire, his expression unreadable. "You're welcome to join us if you want." "I'd like that," Claire said quietly. "Very much." They went to a small Italian restaurant near James's apartment, the kind of place with red checkered tablecloths and unlimited breadsticks. Lily colored on her menu, while James and Claire navigated the strange new territory of their relationship. "I'm implementing changes," Claire said. "Real ones. Flexible schedules, on-site childcare expansion, anonymous reporting systems that actually work. And I'm requiring all executives to spend 1 week per year working in a different department. No disguises, just genuine cross-training." "That's good," James said. "People need to understand what their decisions look like from other perspectives. I also wanted to tell you that you're being promoted. Senior software architect with a team of your own. It's not because of us. It's because you've earned it. Your performance reviews have been stellar for years, and your work during the server crisis was exceptional." James set down his water glass. "Claire, I appreciate that, but I can't accept a promotion right now. It wouldn't look right." "Why not?" "Because we're whatever we are. Because people will assume it's nepotism or favoritism. Because I need to earn advancement on my own merit, not because the CEO feels guilty." Claire understood. She'd fought those same assumptions her whole career. "Okay, but when you're ready, the opportunity stands. Based on merit, nothing else." "Thank you." Lily looked up from her coloring. "Are you sad?" "No, sweetie," James said. "Just talking about grown-up stuff." "You seem sad, both of you." She considered this with 6-year-old wisdom. "You should be friends. Friends make each other happy." "It's complicated," Claire said. "Why?" "Because I made mistakes. I wasn't honest with your dad, and now he's not sure if he can trust me." Lily thought about this. "When I make mistakes, I say sorry and try to do better. Does that work for grown-ups too? Claire's throat tightened. Sometimes, if the other person is willing to forgive. James reached across the table, his hand stopping just short of Claire's. I'm willing to try, but it has to be real. No more CEO and employee, just two people getting to know each other. Honestly this time. Claire placed her hand over his. Just two people. I can do that. The next 3 months were the most challenging and rewarding of Claire's life. She split her time between being CEO, implementing reforms, restructuring departments, holding leaders accountable, and being Claire, the woman who had dinner with James and Lily on Wednesdays, who attended school events, who slowly learned what it meant to let people in. It wasn't easy. The board questioned her new policies. Executives grumbled about flexibility, cutting into productivity. Shareholders worried about short-term costs, but the numbers told a different story. Employee retention improved. Productivity actually increased when people weren't burning out. Anonymous surveys showed dramatic improvements in workplace satisfaction, and Claire felt different, lighter somehow, despite the added complexity in her life. She'd spent so long building walls around herself, protection against failure, against vulnerability, against the assumption that she'd only succeeded because of her father's name. Those walls had kept her safe, but also kept her isolated. James helped her understand that strength could coexist with openness, that leadership didn't require emotional distance, that she could be both competent and connected. In return, Claire helped James see that accepting help wasn't weakness, that his worth extended beyond his ability to handle everything alone. That partnership, whether in friendship or something more, could make both people stronger. Lily, with the uncomplicated wisdom of childhood, simply accepted them both exactly as they were. On a Saturday in May, 6 months after Claire's undercover week, the three of them sat in James's apartment building a blanket fort. It was Lily's idea, and both adults had been drafted into construction. This is the throne room, Lily announced, arranging pillows. Claire, you sit here because you're a queen. Daddy, you sit there because you're a knight. And I'm the princess. What kind of princess? James asked. The kind who saves herself, Lily said matter-of-factly. But it's nice to have friends who help. Claire and James exchanged smiles over Lily's head. Later, after Lily fell asleep in the fort, because of course she did, they sat together on the couch, shoulders touching, watching the rise and fall of her breathing. Thank you, Claire said quietly. For what? For giving me a second chance, for seeing past the CEO to the person underneath, for teaching me that success isn't just about climbing higher, it's about building connections that matter. James turned to look at her. You taught me something too. What's that? That it's okay to want more. For years, I told myself that being enough for Lily was enough, period. That ambition or personal happiness or partnership were luxuries I couldn't afford. But you showed me that people are multifaceted, that I can be a good father and still want other things, still deserve other things. Do you? Want other things? Yeah, James said softly. I do. He kissed her then, gentle and sure, and Claire felt something click into place. Not the sharp triumph of closing a deal or landing an acquisition, something warmer, deeper, more enduring. When they pulled apart, Lily's voice drifted from the fort. I knew you liked each other, you were being so obvious. They both laughed, and Lily emerged, grinning. Can Claire stay for breakfast tomorrow? She asked. I want to make pancakes. James looked at Claire, his expression hopeful but careful. No pressure, but if you want to. I want to, Claire said. I really want to. A year later, Claire stood in the Meridian Tech auditorium, addressing the company at the annual all-hands meeting. The room was packed. Engineers and salespeople, maintenance staff and executives, all gathered to hear about the company's direction. When I became CEO, Claire began, I thought leadership meant having all the answers, making the tough calls, staying above the fray, and in some ways that's true. But I've learned that real leadership is also about connection, about seeing the people behind the productivity metrics, about creating a culture where everyone feels valued, heard, and respected. She glanced at James, sitting in the third row with his team. He smiled encouragingly. This year, we implemented flexible schedules, expanded childcare, created better reporting systems, and held leaders accountable for their behavior. Some people worried these changes would hurt our competitiveness. Instead, we've had our most profitable year in company history. Applause rippled through the auditorium. But more importantly, Claire continued, we've built something sustainable, a company where people want to work, where doing the right thing matters as much as doing things right, where success is measured not just in revenue, but in the lives we impact and the community we create. After the meeting, employees approached her with questions, concerns, congratulations. Claire answered each one, making eye contact, really listening, remembering what it felt like to be invisible. James waited until the crowd thinned. Good speech. Think so? I think you meant every word. That's what made it good. They walked out together, neither caring who saw or what assumptions people made. The relationship was still relatively new. They were taking it slow for Lily's sake, but it was real and honest and built on a foundation of mutual respect. Lily wants to know if you're coming to her soccer game tomorrow, James said. I wouldn't miss it. Even though you have that investor meeting, I'll make both work. That's what calendars are for. James laughed. The CEO who does it all. Not all, Claire corrected. Just the things that matter. They reached the parking lot, and James pulled her close, kissing her forehead. I'm proud of you, for everything you've accomplished, for the leader you've become. I'm proud of us, Claire said, for building something real in the middle of all this corporate chaos. Think we can make it last? I think if we keep being honest with each other, keep showing up, keep remembering that people matter more than positions. Yeah, I think we can make it last. That night, Claire sat in her home office, reviewing reports and answering emails. But she also had plans for Saturday, Lily's soccer game, then a movie, then dinner at that Italian place with the red checkered tablecloths. Her phone buzzed with a text from James. Lily says to tell you she loves you, and so do I. No pressure. Just wanted you to know. Claire stared at the words, feeling that familiar warmth spread through her chest. She'd spent so long believing that success meant sacrifice, that you couldn't have a corner office and a real life, that powerful women had to choose between career and connection. But sitting here, in her beautiful house that finally felt like a home, planning a weekend with people who saw past her title to the person underneath, she realized the truth. You didn't have to choose. You just had to be brave enough to want both, and honest enough to build it with someone who wanted the same thing. She typed back, I love you too, both of you. See you tomorrow. And she meant it. Every word. Because somewhere between playing janitor and playing CEO, between hiding herself and revealing herself, between building walls and opening doors, Claire Ashford had discovered something more valuable than any acquisition or quarterly earnings report. She discovered what it meant to be whole.